Okay.
Awesome.
So this class is about the Enneagram, which is an ancient symbol. As far as they know, it's been around in many cultures for a long time. In fact, nobody can really figure out the origins of it for sure, which I think is just a collective conscious phenomenon, you know? If you have something that's in a lot of different cultures, that probably has some serious truth to it. This is obviously a sacred geometry shape. Anything like this, that's this kind of a basic shape, it has some deep meaning to our consciousness. And what happened is this guy, actually there are two different guys that were important. A lot of people credit, this actually goes back to Pythagoras, by the way, in Greece. But a lot of people credit this guy, George Guru Jeff. He did not teach the Enneagram system of personalities, though, like we're going to teach you tonight. He actually did some kind of cool combination of Sufism with dance. And he would dance, he would help people dance like this symbol, which is so mystical and weird that probably very few people understood it back then. And eventually we're probably going to go back to that kind of esoteric right brain learning. So the guy that's important is Oscar Ichazo.
How do you spell it?
Ichazo. He was born in a South American country. He went to Peru, then from Peru to Argentina, where there was a school of inner work. Now this is still in the 1900s, I think. Pretty sure it was like not anywhere any later than 1920. So somewhere between 1900s and 1920. And this symbol, the fact that they were teaching this as a psychology thing in this school of inner work is a big deal back then. And as many spiritual schools were back in the day, nobody really has a clear picture of what they did because there's a lot of secrecy, I think. And this guy did publish some works, Oscar Ichazo. He did travel to Asia after doing this school of inner work in Argentina.
Once again? Sorry.
It's Ichazo. It's not as important now because there's a lot of psychologists that write books on this now that you're probably going to want their book instead. But this guy is, you know, kind of more towards the origins of this whole system, so it might be interesting. He wrote books on, so the school was spiritual, psychological, metaphysical kind of school. He wrote books not just on this, but on a whole bunch of stuff, and he taught a whole system of 108 Enneagrams. So there's like some more going on here than meets the eye. But what we are going to do is we're going to be very practical tonight. And we're going to take all of the tests for every single personality type, and we're going to figure out what personality type we are, which is very fun.
Awesome.
And then we are going to figure out then what type integrates into what, and what your type disintegrates into. That's what I think is the important part of the system. Because, I'm going to quickly backtrack to myself. This is my little health model. I've got a couple of them up there if you want one. Some of you have it already. To me, this is a big deal because you can have all the information in the world and still not transform completely because you have beliefs in your head, in here, towards the center of your being, that are hardwired, programmed in. So it's changing those beliefs that really change your life. But having education about what personality type you are and where you should head towards for evolution is going to be really important to you, because in order to change your beliefs, you kind of have to know where you're going. And you kind of have to know what's destructive for you to go in, which direction is bad for you too. So this is important to me because it shows that all of these bodies, your collective our collective body, our physical body as a person, our energetic body, emotional body, mental body. A lot of people have been trying for a long time to evolve this direction. I saw a lot of people doing diets and Ayurvedic supplements and meditation to get here to like go through these bodies and change your beliefs. Really is what they were trying to do, even though they didn't know it. It's so much easier to just change your beliefs and let all of that other stuff happen spontaneously, especially now that our vibration is raising in our world, and so we're going to be able to do that easier and more simply instead of micromanaging every aspect of every body here, which is a lot of work. And it takes about twice as long to evolve that way, actually, if you want to go from the physical towards the mental. Like if you want to go from the physical towards your soul, you know. Because the physical body is the slowest of all of your bodies. It will transform, but it will transform very slowly, as you can figure out pretty well by when you exercise or when you eat something different. Yeah, when you try to lose weight, it can take a while. It can take a while, right? But, and actually I can tell, you know, what I did last week usually in my body. You can tell what you did last week, because it's going to take at least a week for you to even feel it, right? But if you change this mental body, it's going to change everything. It's going to change everything in succession, in order, which is important to know. Because if you're going to change your beliefs, then you're going to change your feelings, then you're going to change your energy, then you're going to change your physical body. But it's going to take about a month or two to even get to your physical body. So by the time your physical body changes, you're just going to be like, huh, I don't really have that problem so much anymore. I wonder why. So if you want one of those, my printer died, but we can give you one. I just like to say that before I go into education about your personality type, because your personality type is about your ego, which is really important, because everybody has an ego, and it's okay. It's okay to love your ego. But it's an educational thing. It's to know about yourself and to know which direction you should go in, and not to force yourself into that direction, because actually that doesn't work. It only works to accept and love yourself exactly as you are right now. And then you naturally go towards, so I'll give you an example, because I'm an 8, okay? So if I'm here, I'm going to naturally go towards being a 2 if I'm evolving. But that's from love and acceptance, actually. That's not from pushing myself and saying, I better change the way I'm thinking and the way I'm eating. Those things can help, changing the way you're thinking, the way you're eating. But if you do it with a sense of, if you do it with any self-hate at all, it's just, you're going to go like this. Right? You're going to go back and forth. So, but I love the shapes. I love the fact that you can see in this shape exactly where you're going. And then for me, where I would go if I was not in balance, I would go down there and be a 5. And that's different for everybody, right? Because if you're in balance, you're going to go towards the really good aspects of that personality type, not the bad ones. And if you're disintegrating, you're going to go towards the bad aspects of that personality type, not the good ones. Does everybody get that part? So if I'm going to go start having 2 qualities, which hopefully I do a little bit now, but those are going to be the aspects of the 2 that are really awesome. They're not going to be like the 2's lack of boundaries, for instance. Hopefully I'm not going to be taking that on, because it's evolution. So if I disintegrate, I'm going to become in my head, and I'm going to observe. There's all of these personality types have different names also. These are just one of their names. This is also called the observer, and that's when I was a kid, I was often in my head observing people. So you can see that in yourself probably too. So anybody have like general questions before we start taking our tests and stuff? I'm very practical oriented. I like to just do it. Just figure out what personality type you are. And I do have the air conditioning is on. By the way, it's really hot in here, right? Huh? It's good for you?
I don't know if anybody's feeling cold, we can give them a blanket.
So everybody drew the symbol, so when we take the test then, when we figure out what your type is, you're going to circle your type, like how I did here. And one of your wing types, you're also going to have a wing type, that's the second highest score, just like we did with the aura colors test. The second highest score should be, though, either this one or this one for me, because it's going to be the one that's closest on one of those sides for you. That's why it's a wing type. One of your wings. Often you'll have a wing type that's one of your parents' personalities, or people even sometimes have the same personality as their parents, because these things are, you know, we can say that there's that whole nature and nurture thing and you get a lot of things from your parents, but lately I've been very aware of how much you come into this life with, and you just choose your parents based on that. You're like, I want to be an 8 this lifetime, so I'm going to have an 8 dad, or something like that, you know. Wow, that's a loud ring.
Because I
Okay.
leave the phone downstairs most of the time.
I see.
So I have to bury it upstairs.
Okay, so the first thing to know about all these types is that 3 of them are head types, 3 of them are body types, and 3 of them are heart types, like you probably wrote down. So that's how the ego gets separated. This is what this guy said, Oscar Ichazo. He said, I'm going to read you the quote actually. We have to distinguish between a man as he is in essence and as he is in ego or personality. In essence, every person is perfect, fearless, in loving unity, with the entire cosmos. There is no conflict within the person between head, heart, and stomach, or between the person and others. Then something happens. The ego begins to develop. Karma accumulates, and there is a transformation from objectivity to subjectivity. My God!
Just turn it off.
So,
Power off.
you're in here when you're born, right? I love visual stuff, that's why I love
Shut down.
drawing symbols. So, you're in here, you're a little circle, and then you become one of these, right? Because your ego develops. Now, my view on that is not that your parents do this to you and woe is you. My view on that is actually that you came in knowing you were going to be one of these things, and when you first come and you're a baby, you still have that unity with you, but it's inevitable that you're going to have an ego, because to have a body, you have to have an ego. So, you choose one of the places in your body, usually to focus: the body, the heart, or the head. And that kind of, that's an important thing to remember with the personality types, because if you remember whether it's in the head, the heart, or the body, then you have more of a feel for it, just instinctually. If you're a kinesthetic learner, too, it might help. Okay, here we go. You ready? So take your paper, and if you want on the back to make very, very small numbers, because you're just going to make answers based on your answers are numbers, just like we did with those of you who are doing the aura colors test with us. So your 1 is not at all true, 2 is seldom true, 3 is somewhat true, 4 is generally true, and 5 is very true. So 1 is not at all true, 2 is seldom true, 3 is somewhat true, 4 is generally true, and 5 is not at all true. I'm gonna